Hey, it's AP, and today we're making the Ratcatcher 2 wand from Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad. Check it out. So folks, my pal, author, James Hannon, the guy who wrote the book on cosplaying, quite literally, has tasked me with making the Ratcatcher 2 wand from The Suicide Squad. Yes, it's The Suicide Squad, not to be confused with Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad is the movie that came out this past year. It was excellent. Had King Shark, Ratcatcher 2, Harley Quinn, of course. Check it out. Highly recommend it. Very entertaining. And as part of his cosplay catalog, he's doing Polka Dot Man, and his wife is now going to be Ratcatcher 2, and they need a wand, and so they turned to me, apparently because he loved his Mandalorian helmet so much. I figured, why not ask me to do something else, and here I am. So I found the files for the Ratcatcher 2 wand on the Thingiverse. I will say though, there are not a lot of photographs of the wand, or at least detailed shots of the wand that I could find anywhere on the RPF, on the Google, on the Facebook. All the pictures I was able to find were either screen caps from a scene in the movie, or from maquettes or statues that were produced by some merchandising company. So that translates to me as you have a lot of creative flexibility. So what I've done is I took the files from Thingiverse and I printed out a few key components. The Ratcatcher wand is made up of a little cage, and inside that cage is a ball, which came from my daughter's ball pit, so didn't have to print that. And in fact, you could print this out, it just wouldn't be as smooth and clear as a fresh plastic one, and you could probably pick up something at your local craft store. But this fit actually perfectly without modification into the cage provided on the Thingiverse. We're gonna see how many times I can say Thingiverse in this episode. So we have those pieces. We have a thing that these pieces will eventually be glued into somehow. So I'm going to be wiring it. So I'll be running a white LED up through this. I'll cut a little hole in here. I'll probably remove these pieces. And this will go inside so it can light up. And there's a pommel for the bottom. I've already sanded these down because I figured you didn't want to see these. And then also included in the Thingiverse files were some greeblies, some gear mechanisms, and a thing to put the gears on. Again, I don't know where they got the direction to create this. I think they took some creative license to do it, which is fine. I'm going to add these greeblies on after I paint them, and we will have our own little version. I picked up a battery. This is a 3.7 volt lithium ion rechargeable battery. I got these off of the Amazon. I'll leave a link to those in the description below. Now, also included in the files are the actual hilt that you hold onto to draw the rats to you. But instead of printing them out, I'm actually going to use some real metal. This is just metal conduit to run cables outside. And so I'm going to cut this down to size, and I should be able to, so this is a little loose, so I'm going to have to glue it in. But what's great is, and I had a few different tubes to work with. This one, I'm going with this one, particularly because the battery fits in it. And so the battery will go in like this. It'll pressure fit, and I need to figure out specifically how I'm going to wire this. But first things first, I'm going to cut this down to size, and I'm just going to do it Again, because there's no like screenshots to work off of, I'm going to just kind of figure it out. So I'm going to cut this down to 7 inches with a trusty old hacksaw. I wish I had realized it was steel before working with it, as this became a headache later on. The Colette piece almost fits perfectly. A bit of sanding with the Dremel solved that very quickly. Oh, pro tip, tighten the sanding barrel before using it. All right, that piece is on, and then we'll glue this in place. I'll use some epoxy or something. So next I'm going to remove these screw holes. Yeah, I'm going to remove these screw holes so I can slide this in place. And I'll probably go down. I'm just going to remove this piece up here. Yeah. And I'm just going to use my hacksaw. I just trace the diameter of the tube onto the ball and then slice it out with an X-Acto knife. And then we test fit everything. And it looks great. Now, I need to solve for installing the switch. Remember the whole "I wish I realized it was steel" thing a few minutes ago? Well, this is why. I dulled a few drill bits to get the hole in there, and then dulled a few more to widen it. Next time, I'll find either aluminum tubing or use 3/4 inch PVC or something easier. The battery pressure fits inside the tube, so to make easy access, I cut off a small piece which will serve as the bottom of the wand. And now we paint. After the piece is dried, I used some 2-part epoxy to secure the pommel into the small hilt piece. I also used the epoxy to attach the battery pack and other greeblies. I just like how solid the epoxy is compared to CA glue. Now, if you decide to use soft metal or plastic, you should be able to just screw everything on. Lighting the wand is a simple circuit connecting the battery to the switch and LEDs. I used 2 bright white 3mm LEDs for this to help get as much illumination as possible. After everything was wired and tested, I just crammed all the cables inside. If I do this again, I'll probably shorten all the wires to avoid the rat's nest inside the tube. Okay, so now I'm going to start painting it. And to do that, so I actually got a better screen cap of the wand. And in it you can see some of the greeblies on the side. It looks like there's a sticker of an electrical lightning bolt. Here you can see the color of the top, and the basket is silverish or aluminum-ish. So I'm actually going to go over the whole thing with some Vallejo black, and then go on top of it with the top part at least, with this true metal. It's almost like it's an aluminum color, and it's almost like rub and buff. It's a waxy type of substance that kind of buffs out to a nice metallic finish. So let me just tape up the lights, because we do not want paint on those, of course. I painted on the rub and buff stuff and then wiped it down with a paper towel. I really like the effect I got, especially on the Colette and the light cage thing. I screwed the 2 halves of the cage together with some M10 bolts. Before this is ready for prime time, I had one last thing to do: attach the gears. These are glued on with 2-part epoxy. Sand the paint off the hilt, just so you have something for the epoxy to grab onto. Okay, this is the last thing. There's a little lightning bolt sticker on the hilt. I just whipped something up in Photoshop, printed it on regular paper, sprayed with some adhesive, and applied. All right, we are ready to start commanding the rats. Maybe this worked too well. All right, I call this good. If I were to do this again, the only thing I would do differently is use a different material for the hilt. This was galvanized steel, which was very hard to work with. Next time I'll look for maybe a plastic conduit to work with. That will make putting in the button way easier. Other than that, oh, and I'd probably add a couple more LEDs into the ball. Just to make it as bright as possible, since this will be used at conventions and stuff where overhead lighting is at a maximum. It might drown out the color of the bulb. Other than that, super satisfied with this. Well, I hope you learned something new today. If you're deciding to tackle this project, let me know in the comments below. Maybe we can help each other out. Did you do something differently? I'd love to hear about it. If you think someone could benefit from this video, make sure you share it with them. Give me a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I really do appreciate my subscribers. You don't want to miss out on any of the cool things that I'm making over here. Well, until next time, stop planning and start making something. Thanks for watching. I'm ready to start controlling rats. Do you think it'll work? Nope, just brings in children.